It was a very crazy month, y'all. Very crazy month. I went almost the entire month without a fridge. I kid you not. Our fridge was back ordered and back ordered and back ordered, and it was the most horrible experience. We ended up. All right, so let's get into our month of June. So this is my calendar that I have just implemented. I've been using a physical calendar, which you've seen in my previous videos, and I still do use it just to kind of keep track of everything, as it is a 3-year calendar. And I find it very useful. I'm very much a physical person, although these days I am digital, so this is just kind of a secondary calendar, if you will. So what I have done is anything that I enter in this section right here will automatically transpose on that day within my calendar. I believe they call it a dynamic calendar, and I even have it set up to where I have a little pop-up, which is nice. So I can toggle between months pretty easily. But for right now, we're going to pay attention to June. So this is my calendar, and I have 2 paydays a month. This month of June, I had June 5th and June 19th. So you can see June 5th and June 19th. And basically, I am going paycheck to paycheck. So it's going to be this one. Ooh, oh my gosh. Is what I am paying for with the June 5th paycheck. And then everything after, I am paying with my June 19th paycheck. So going into my budget of June. So this is my budget for the month of June. And it was a very crazy month, y'all. Very crazy month. I went almost the entire month without a fridge. I kid you not. Our fridge was back ordered and back ordered and back ordered, and it was the most horrible experience. We ended up going through Best Buy, and none of this was told to us at the store when we purchased. They gave us a delivery date. It was like 6 days away. We could deal with that. I just took everything out of the freezer because the freezer was what was acting up. It wasn't holding temperature. I think our freezer got to about 54 degrees or 55 degrees. So I had to take everything out, check it, throw half of it away, put half of it in my deep freeze, and then we lived on a mini fridge for almost an entire month. So it was absolutely awful. You'll see later on in my budget, we did blow our budget, and that is because I do have my mother-in-law. I'm a caregiver for her here half the month, and just everything living out of a mini fridge. We ate out more than we should have, but I don't consider it a total loss because when we did eat out, I ordered a little bit extra so that I could pop it in the mini fridge. And when I did cook at home, I had to cook what I could consume that day, which was very difficult because I'm one that could cook for an entire army, y'all. I have huge pots, and primarily they all go in the freezer, and I was totally unable to do that this month. My husband ended up eating out for lunch while he was at work, which is something we're not used to, and we did blow the budget. So you'll see that in just a little bit. So our income was $4,500, which was another bonus that my husband received for an employee referral earlier this year. It is just coming to us in increments. His second paycheck was $3,075, and I made $100 on my side hustle, bringing our income to $7,675. So of that, we had our mortgage, which was $228. That was paid. I budgeted $165 for electric. That ended up being $105. Fantastic. I am not an AC person, and when my husband's not home, my thermostat is at 78. That is how, if anybody ever wondered why my electric is so low, it is because I don't keep it very high. I am barely dressed kind of gal, so we don't keep our home very, very hot, very, very cold. I get cold very easily. I'm just a always cold person, primarily my hands and my feet, and I keep it at 78. When he's home, it drops to 76, but primarily it is at 78. So our bill came out to $105, which was paid. Our car insurances were $109. That was paid. Our cell phone and internet was $275. The remainder and last payoff for cutting our trees, we rushed this because we are coming up to hurricane season. Some of the trees that we had were around and above the chicken coop, and one was up front, overhanging our house and also overhanging our well. That was a necessity that we had to finish paying off. I damn near got killed twice by these trees from limbs falling, no joke. The one up front actually missed me by like a foot, and I was nearly missed out back. So this was very much a necessity that is now paid in full. I had $20 of tolls this week. It just ups my account, so that was paid. My son did run into an issue where he needed to reconnect his electric. He went 2 days with no electricity, primarily because all overtime was cut at his job, and that was not something that he was banking on. It was all overtime was scheduled for the week one day, and then he came in the next day, beginning of the week. Oh, sorry, no overtime this week. So it was just something that he didn't account for. We all make mistakes, and I covered that bill. My sewing machine, this is a side hustle that I'm trying to resurrect. I did this many years ago. I am pretty good at sewing, and I sold them online. Since then, due to my sewing machine sitting, it did need a good clean, and primarily a chemical clean. It was all gunky inside. It is my original sewing machine that I've had since I was 13. So I had to pay this in order to try and resurrect what I used to do and try to create another stream of income. So this is just something that we decided to do so that I can in turn bring in more money. So that was done. My spending for this month or last month was pretty average. We went a little bit more with food because I knew that it was going to be 6 days since our delivery of our fridge, but by the time I took this money out, which was this second paycheck, it had already been back ordered to little over 2 weeks by then. So I accounted for more money. We ended up spending $560 or allocating $560. Our gas and fuel was $150, animals $40, dogs $100. That is because I have two and they are on drastically different diets. I also had to go a different route on my smallest dog's food, primarily because his teeth are horrible and he's 10 and a half years old. So I had to switch to a softer food with, oh my gosh, y'all. This kid treats his food, now that I've changed it, now that it's soft food and it's actually real food, or at least food you can see chunks of, like I can recognize the food in his food or ingredients in his food. He acts like I'm giving him crack. Like, he went from 1 can a day to 2 cans a day, and every time he hears me pop a can, he runs in the kitchen. It is the funniest thing. So I have $100 for them. Personal was $100. Health was $50. Eating out, I budgeted $175. Again, I knew that we were going to run into a little bit of a snag just with the week delay of our fridge delivery, which turned out to be, y'all, wait until you see my budget tracker, or my expense tracker rather. In Amazon, we needed essentials from Amazon, primarily like AC filters. I had to get some car parts that my husband needed, and also some Ridex for our well, or our septic, I should say, to put in the toilets. And there were just different things around the house that when we did inventory of everything, when I did this budget, I ran out. So I accounted $250 for that. Our personal spending was $14.25, and our subscriptions. His CDL subscription was $14. Pest control was $78. Prime account for free shipping on Amazon. Y'all, I hate their Prime TV service. I don't know if anybody else has issues, but every time we seem to watch a show on Prime TV, it seems to buffer in the middle of it or basically freeze. And it's the only subscription we have that does that with. So this is primarily so that we can get free shipping. Paramount, $13. Hulu, $13. Our identity theft was $62, and our personal subscriptions, $25. So our subscriptions are $220. Our debt, our solar loan is $262, car loan $223, my student loans, which I have been paying these damn student loans since 2010, y'all. 16 years, and I'm still sitting at like, I don't even know, y'all. Let me see. As of the beginning of this year, I was still at $4,600. 16 years I've been paying these damn things. I'm just anxious for them to go away at this point. The store card, which now includes our fridge, so that is going to increase a little bit next month. So $75. And this was painful, y'all, because I had almost paid this off. I had like 200, I think it was like 291 or 271 or something like that left to pay for before our fridge died. It was absolutely heartbreaking. An old card that I have to make payments on, $220. These are now fixed. Our Synchrony card, y'all, this is almost paid off. I think I'm less than $300. Let me check my account real quick. While that is loading, my personal loan is $836. Our first credit card got a payment of $116, and our second credit card got $100. So our debt was $2,038 this month. Yeah, I have about $450 to pay off this card. So I'm super stoked about that. I do have a question though, just to kind of ask y'all what you guys would do if you were in my situation. this is our lowest right now debt balance. So I have that 450 left to pay for on this card. Would you use your emergency savings, which I have $1,000 saved? Would you take 450 of that $1,000 and pay off this card, knowing that it is 0%? Or would you just continue to pay for it until it is paid off? Let me know in the comments what y'all would do in that situation. Because I did ponder it, and I stopped myself because it's at 0%. So let me know what you guys think. So that is paid. So the only two accounts that I was able to put money into was our emergency fund, which was $350, and our auto, which is $181. And we did make these goal amounts a lot lower by fidgeting with our goal date to try to make these more manageable. They were much higher. They were all over $200. So these are the only two accounts that I was able to put money into. And that was $531 that we put toward our sinking funds. I did have two charges, one for my $200 that I took out to cut the trees, which is right here. And then another one for my sewing machine repair, because I did choose to pay each of those in cash. So I got two ATM charges. So that came out to be $4. This is all my spending for the month of June, and it looks much better than last month. I don't have as many charges, which is great. But we did go over budget. So let's scroll down and I will tell you where all of that money went. So our monthly spending, remember my goal that I had set aside for my personal spending was I believe $14.25. Yes, it was $14.25, and that included all of this spending. So this is what I'm tracking. We ended up spending $19.88. So where did my money go? So on food, I had budgeted $560, and we ended up spending $647. So that is because primarily I had to throw nearly half my freezer away and half my refrigerator away because I could not get the temperature to but drop below 50 degrees. And that is not a safe point to keep any food. There's only so much you can keep in a mini fridge. And I did have food that my neighbor had stored for me in her fridge. So this was kind of, once the fridge was delivered, the very next day we went out and just got staples. So that is why that amount is as high as it is. Our gas, we were actually under budget. I budgeted $150. We were at $90. Our animals, I believe I have that at $40. Yes. Animals at $40 and dogs at $100. So animals came out to be $18 and the dogs came out $97. So I was under in each of those categories. Personal spending went over. I believe it went over by $175, primarily because due to my son's hours dropping, he just needed gas money. And you'll see a lot is transfer to kids. So I will be getting that back this month, so that will most likely be in July's budget because that did come out of my savings. The health, we scheduled $50. I went over by $9. Eating out was $566, primarily because I had my mother-in-law. I could only cook what I could cook. This is just how the month went. So we ended up going over in that category. I do have a gift card coming from Best Buy, but it is for Best Buy. So they tried to make it right. Granted, it doesn't justify what we spent eating out, but we do have a gift card coming. No idea what I'll use it for, but eating out was $5.66. Amazon, I did budget $250. We only spent $135. So where I was under in other categories and over in others, we were still over budget by $452. That $452 does not include this auto because I just took it out of my auto sinking fund. All of this right here is in my spending account. This came out of my auto sinking fund, which got $181 this month. So, and the kids actually came from my emergency savings, but I still do have a little over $1,000 in that account. So I'm just happy that I did have a little bit of money socked away to account for that overage. At least I didn't have to charge anything. We barely charged anything this month. My husband does when he's at work, and I just replenish it from our bank account for theft reasons, just because if anybody steals his card, it's on someone else's money and it's not my cash kind of situation. So yeah, so we were over, minus the auto, we were over $452 this month, which came out of my savings account. So you'll see the spending for the month, all of my categories. So my highest categories were definitely food, yet again. Food and eating out. If we didn't have our fridge delay this month, I almost think, based on my calculations and the time period, that we would have not exceeded our $100 budget. So it kind of disappoints me a little bit that everything happened the way that it did, but it is what it is. At least I had money to make it up, which is great. So there was my budget for the month of June. So where did all of our money go? I had planned on just our straight paychecks, which was $62.50 for the month, and we actually brought in $7,675. I had planned for bills and expenses $3,521. We actually spent $3,461, which was 45% of our budget. Our subscriptions, just a flat $220, that is 3% of our budget. Our debt, I had only planned, excuse me, y'all, $1,965. We ended up paying $2,038, which is 27% of our budget. Our spending was $990, and it was actually $1,425, 19% of our budget. And our sinking funds, what we were able to put away, even though I used them throughout the month, I had planned on $774. I actually put away $531, which was 7% of our budget. So these are the only two next eggs that I was able to suck money into. Yeah, so I mean, all in all, our budget's not horrible. It could do better. I definitely have places where I want to improve. We did mess up food and eating out. But next month I'll be better. And that's all we can do, right? We can just be better for next month and just take it one paycheck at a time, one budget at a time. So, I do want to go over our sinking funds. So here is all of our sinking funds. So I started all of our sinking fund tracking on May 1st, and I do have goals attached. Now, these goals each show a purpose. So my long-term savings, I want to have $2,000. Our emergency fund, I want to have $1,000, which I do. I actually have a little bit more than that. Our auto fund, I want to have $2,500, and that's primarily for the $1,000 deductible that we have on each of our vehicles, and then $500 for repair. And you'll see that I did have 2% progress. So this is actually 6. These all have to change. I was using kind of I didn't put anything in there. And you'll see it changes the percentage and it changes the bar graph up here. My emergency fund, I put in 350. My emergency fund, I did 181, which I took out 111. Oops. And our home repairs, I wanted $7,500, primarily because I have a $7,000 deductible, y'all. It is absolutely horrid. That I didn't put anything into, so I'm just gonna take that out. My business fund, I didn't put anything in there. And then our homestead account, I didn't put anything in there. So all I really have is these 3 that we've contributed to. Actually, I didn't put any in here either. So you'll see that I have 100% funded because I do have over $1,000. And I did actually take money out of this. So our 6-1, I'm gonna minus 452. Which I guess I have to reformulate it so that I can do negatives. So actually there should be I had about 1,500 in there, so there's actually like 1,048. So I guess it's still allocated, but I gotta make the math work. So I will fix that before next budget. And then this is our in and out account, which is our auto fund, which I have to do the same thing with. I have to get it to take negatives so that it will deduct for me. And it says I had 3% saved before I took out $111. So it also gives me my amount to save monthly and my amount to save weekly, just as kind of something to keep me in check, something that I can have a goal for each paycheck. And I also have a progress bar that will fill out as we meet our goal. So, our dashboard. So far, our annual income is $52,243. So far in expenses, we have paid $23,303. Our annual savings, which is only going off my budget, it's not going off of what I actually spent out of my sinking funds. So this is kind of telling me if I didn't touch it, this is how much I could have had, which pains me. But our sinking funds are in and out. So that's more for my visual more than it is accurate. Our annual spending, this is all of our monthly spending, the $14.25 that you saw me allocate for food, groceries, eating out, gas, things of that nature. To date, we have spent $6,923. And our debt payments so far this year, and this also includes our credit card debt, of $16,894. And our annual subscriptions are so far $1,592. So I wanted to do a debt to income ratio analysis just to kind of see where we're at, because I keep seeing this figure that some people are mentioning of 50, 30, 20, right? That's what you want to strive for. So with 50, 30, 20, 50% being expenses, we're under. So that is great. 30, if I'm not mistaken, is debt, which we're a little bit over. And then 20, I'm not putting away enough. So this is just another way that I can help keep me on track, to kind of see where we're at. And this will fluctuate as we make more money. Now, I did do my July budget, preliminarily speaking, so some of my figures are in here, I'm sure. But I at least wanted to show you what my annual dashboard looked like and how I am further tracking my money. I always like to plan ahead, so sometimes I'll do the next month's budget to kind of see what we're up against, and that's why it looks like it is counted. So some of these figures are in here. The other thing that I implemented too, which is going to be very different for me, before I show you, a lot of other budget channels will do physical savings challenges. And while I was sitting with my mother, she loves to watch her Spanish novellas. I don't understand a lick of Spanish. So I usually just sit next to her with my iPad or on my phone and do something else. So I decided one day, while I was watching some of these savings challenges, that I'm a digital budgeter. So how can I make a savings challenge digital? And I kind of played with AI a little bit and kind of helping me do this. I kind of put all my ideas in there with links to other YouTube videos of what they were doing. And I had it help me create a spreadsheet where I could do a digital savings challenge. Now, this is my first go at it. I'm sure as I go, it'll be honed and updated, and we'll see how it works. So for right now, I am going to show you what that will look like, and I am going to implement it in July. My budget is already done for June, but in July, I will actually use the savings challenge and show you how it works. So this is my savings challenge. So let me go down to 100%. Let's do 130. Okay. I hope y'all can see that. So basically what I have done is I came up with a game. And this is based off of like spin the wheel, if you will. Now you can't do the spinning of the wheel or anything that's animated in a Google Sheet workbook or even Excel. It just doesn't work that way. So what I came up with was a manual way to do it. So on these columns or these rows right here, I have different challenges. So when I quote unquote spin the wheel, it's going to choose a random savings challenge for me. So I choose to take money out of my planned spending and put it into savings or on a credit card or on debt. Something to challenge me to save more but spend less. It's kind of using the concept of you didn't use all of your food budget and you've got $5 left, so your $5 is used for a savings challenge. That was kind of the idea behind this spreadsheet. And when it is all completed, I am to check them off and I gain points. So if you look at this section right here, it says fortune points, right? That number will change to 10 in increments of 10 the more I check off, right? I also have different levels. So a seedling is 20 points. So I have to complete 2 of these challenges in order for my status to basically level up, kind of like a game. So you'll see this level up right here change. So I'm going to select 2 and it leveled up to the next level. You'll also see that these right here mimic all of my point reward system down here. So I wanted to give myself a little bit of wiggle room and a little bit of reward for saving money. So as I go through these, and I just completed my first 2 challenges to get 20 points, I am going to rent a movie on one of my streaming apps that is $5 or less. I typically tend to go for those $2.99 movies or those $3.99 movies, and I won't pay any more than that. So that allows me to do that. The next one is we'll go get drinks from Sonic when it is half price. Y'all, if you've never had a fresh strawberry slushie with double whipped cream, I kid you not, it tastes like a strawberry daiquiri. Try it. Let me know in the comments if you have tried it. It is awesome. 90 points. I love to read. I am reading all the time. I get to buy a new book, which for me is used, at half price books for $5 or less. When I get up to 130 points, we're going to go for a ride through the country and spend an extra $10 in gas. This one is actually for my husband. I don't know if y'all have husbands like this or boyfriends like this, but my husband loves to watch auto shows on YouTube. And one of the ones he watches is called Murphy's Diesel, because he drives a diesel truck. Now, Murphy's Diesel primarily uses their YouTube channel to basically fund their operations because they do things for free and they give away stuff for free. So every once in a while, he will want to buy something off of their merchandise store to get an entry into winning whatever they're giving away for free. And it's always like a diesel pickup truck and a trailer, or a diesel pickup truck and a car hauler trailer, or a diesel truck and an RV. It's just always something huge. So he wanted to incorporate buying one t-shirt, which gives him one entry fee into basically trying to win one of these trucks. That's just something he's into. And it gives him t-shirts to wear at work also. So with that being said, this whole thing, once completed, which for me is one challenge per month, so this is a year's worth of challenges, and I have 15 here. And I have 15 here because I have a wild card and I have a spin again. So it's technically 13. But all of it will save me $200. And without these rewards that I have right here, it will save me $150. So this is kind of the game that I created. So this little field up here that says change to play, all I have to do is change the number. Every time I change the number, it's going to come up with what I'm supposed to do right here. So let's say I change this to A3. It's going to choose from this list on what to do. So right now it says add $7 to emergency savings. So over here, add $7 to emergency savings. I've gained 10 points. I haven't figured out how to stop this from changing, so I know it just changed. Just know I have no idea on how to fix it. But I will be working on that for sure. So I'm gonna take $7 and put it toward emergency savings. So when I go to the month of June, or actually July, down here is my savings challenge. So I am going to take $7, add $7 to my emergency fund savings, and I'm going to choose something to deduct out of my spending account so that it's transferring from my spending to my savings sinking funds so that I can save more money. So it's forcing me to sacrifice up front versus what y'all do with the physical saving challenges of any money that is left over at the end of that pay period, they'll throw at the savings challenge. This is actually opposite. This is forcing me to spend less money up front to put it into savings. That was the only way I could make this work. So that is this game in a nutshell. And all of these I can update and change, and every time I change the number, it's gonna give me a new challenge. And I just keep accumulating points and I keep leveling up. You'll see that all of this is changing. So it was just something fun for me to do, to challenge myself, to try to hone in on our savings, because it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking when you can't save like you want to, and I know a lot of it is habit-based, which we are trying to change. So now that I have my sewing machine done, the trees are cut, the fences are done, everything that we have set out this year to do so far, 6 months in, has been completed. So all of that extra residual money that I threw at those things, which I think is over $2,000 at this point, I'm hoping is going to go back into my savings, and this is just going to add even further money. So like this one is reduce eating out by $25, goes into auto. Well, eating out is something I have to work on, definitely. Or reduce grocery budget by $75, and it goes to auto. These three are gonna force me to use my pantry versus giving myself a flat fixed amount every month to go grocery shopping with. Because I'm always rotating my pantry, but I have an entire bedroom as a pantry. And that I am still trying to work on for another video that I want to upload to show you more ways that I save money and how exactly I do that. One area that is going to be in that video in the near future is going to be my pantry room and how we did that. And find $10 to cut and add to auto. So this is just something that I came up with to kind of make it digital and make it more fun. So, anywho, that is my budget for the entire month of June. We did blow the budget a little bit, but it came out of our sinking fund, so it's not the end of the world. We did implement a new savings challenge spreadsheet starting in the month of July. And I also introduced my dashboard, which I can actually show you every month going forward and let you know how that changes throughout the year and kind of where our ratios are headed. And I also showed you my monthly calendar, which I will use in conjunction with a physical calendar, but this was just a way that I could show you and actually make it in the workbook versus having to change camera angles. And potentially, once I get all this figured out, this whole workbook I am actually going to plan on putting up for sale. So it just needed a digital calendar, and this is just one way that I was able to implement it. So as we go through some of the workbook, as I get things situated and figured out and honed in, I have more tabs that I will be able to show kind of as we go. I'm very much a planner. Up until this point, I have been working with a series of 5 physical binders, which I will take a snapshot of all of my binders and actually put it right here on the screen. I basically turned those binders into a worksheet within this workbook, and you'll see them at the end. Insurance comparison, our asset values, our auto logs, home maintenance, sinking funds, our debt payoff, some of our annual goals and our forecast plan and our food plan and our the savings challenge is brand new. But I'm trying to make everything into one comprehensive digital workbook so that y'all can plan a budget like me. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I am usually on top of things, except eating out, y'all. Eating out is my pain point. And I don't like to eat out because I love to cook. It's just everything is so far away from us. We're running errands on the weekends. We didn't have a fridge. Things just came up. You know how that goes. So this is just something that we're continually working on. I'm hoping that July will look a little bit better. And that's all we can do, is just make it a little bit better, make a little bit of progress, simple, realistic changes, and our budget morphs with us. And I'm trying not to let it get to me and roll with the flow. That's my husband's new phrase for me, is roll with the flow. Because let me tell you, I can be very regimented to where if something goes wrong, I freak out. And I'm learning to go with the flow. And all of this overage, I'm going with the flow. That is all I can do at this point. So I hope y'all had a good month of June. I know the kids are out of school. Everybody's home. People are taking trips. So I hope you guys are having a really good summer so far. I know that we are. Enjoying our new fridge, which I will put a picture up. It even has a beverage station, y'all. It is so cool. But I will see you on my next video going over the month of July. And I am currently working on another video on more ways that I save money in our home that keeps kind of our bills, our food pantry, how I use apps to kind of save me money, little different things that I can share with y'all. And it just helps. Everything just helps. And it really beats flying by the seat of our pants. That I have learned. Yeah, so I will see you on the next video. And bye, y'all.